Hello, friends, and welcome to the podcast. This is the JRPG Report, episode 196, and we've got a huge show for you guys here today. So many stories to talk about, lots of fun things. We've got a real big bookend of stories to talk about. As you saw the thumbnail, no doubt. We are leading with a game that I've been looking forward to for a long time. That is Granblue Fantasy Relink. But breaking overnight came an equally probably large story. But I already had put out the teaser video yesterday and the thumbnail and all that stuff. So we're going to lead with it. So we're going to save some big news to the very end, maybe even a small rant to go along with this. So not like you tune out halfway anyway, but you certainly want to wait around to the very end for some breaking news. And, like I said, maybe even a rant or two about what is going on with this. But I'm so happy that you've tuned in this week. Hope you are ready for the Christmas holiday bonanza. We'll still have a podcast next week. Not sure what we'll have to talk about, as it might be a little bit slow, but hey, this is what we do. Let's get to the Granblue Fantasy Relink. We had hoped that was going to pop up and have some new information at the Granblue Winter Fest. I believe that's what it was called. I may be incorrect in that, but they do that every year where they talk about, obviously, the anime as well. That's where this all started from. And if you are curious, it is on Netflix if you really want to get into what this game and Granblue Fantasy Versus, the offshoot fighter, is based off of. You can check out that anime. I'm sure there's other ways, but that's how most people would probably watch it. This game, though... I don't know why, because I definitely tend to prefer turn-based JRPGs. This one is much more on the action, very close to like a Tales of Arise type of look to it, but it has a fantasy setting that, excuse me, very much reminds me of some old Final Fantasy stuff. There's airships, there's dragons and big beasts going on. It's just a faster paced battle system that goes along with it. Instead, so it popped back up. There is a trailer that you've probably been watching if you're watching the YouTube or Spotify version of the podcast. But we did get a bit of new information about it as well. It had previously been announced this was coming to PlayStation 4 and PS5. The obvious decision is that they are also bringing this out to PC via Steam, which will coincide with its release in 2022 worldwide. Publisher Cygames and developer Cygames Osaka announced. So that's very good news. It said, I'm not sure when it was originally planned to come out, if it was 2020. And then obviously stuff happened. This game has been in development for quite a while. They're still fairly new to the console scene to begin with, but nonetheless, from what we're seeing in the trailer and the information that's out there and being presented, I'm going to think that they're going to make this goal worldwide. Is a lofty goal to accomplish all at one time, but let's hope that it actually happens. The game itself is an action RPG that will have 2 game modes. So first is the main story, which is just single player. You can discover what is happening to the Zegragande Skydom in this exciting narrative-driven single-player adventure. And from this point forward, if you are a big fan of the anime, please let me apologize for any pronunciation issues or fandom things that I've watched a few episodes. I actually have, and I enjoyed it. I need to go and watch the rest of them, as it was pretty darn good. But yes, just don't don't hold me to the fire if I'm getting all this incorrectly. So this is a new chapter of Granblue Fantasy, which unfolds in the skies of Zegragande. Customize and develop characters, collect treasure, and so much more. With easy, normal, and hard difficulties to choose from, Granblue Fantasy Relink accommodates players of all lifestyles. Here is the other part of it, which I'm a single player campaign kind of guy, but this sounds intriguing because there are quests which involve multiplayer aspects. You can progress through the main story to unlock new content, which supports up to 4-player online co-op. Utilize the items and experience you've obtained over the course of your journey to tackle an array of challenging battles. Visit a town's online lobby to chat and interact with other Skyfarers. Quests can be done solo or with the aid of CPU-controlled allies. Now, here are the list of playable characters that are so far been announced. They do say more reveals are on the way, so stay tuned. But you have the main character, which is either Gran or Dita. I'm not sure if the J is silent. There's a J in there. But not the first letter of the name, so that's always confusing. I believe you get to choose whether you want to be a Gran, the male character, or Dija, the female version or character. I'm not sure how exactly that works, but I do believe you get to choose one of the two, so you can be male or female. There's Catalina, Rackham, Io, Eugen, Rosetta, Lancelot, Vayne, Percival, Siegfried, but that's not all, as there's Charlotte and Yodara. And like I said, there's more reveals that are on the way as well. Once the trailer is over, there's also some images that I have got from it, and you can kind of check those out as well. It might be showing some of the characters that you've not seen before in this game. The game's official website is in English and Japanese, also relaunched and shared this information. First, about the world. They say, to the promised land, a girl in blue appears. There exists a world where islands of all shapes and sizes float in a sea of clouds. It is a world forsaken by the gods. Little bit Xenoblade Chronicles 2 sounding, That's okay. Once upon a time, people known as the Astrals attempted to seize control of this world with their overwhelming might. But the citizens of the skies repelled the invaders, thus ushering in a new era of peace. Living on a little-known island in a remote part of the skies, you find a letter left behind by your father telling you to set off for a legendary island. However, before you leave, you meet a mysterious girl named Lyra, inevitably setting the wheels of fate in motion. And this is the Zegargonde Skydom. The legendary island of the Astrals, Estalucia is still out there waiting to greet you intrepid travelers. But until then, your journey continues in the skies to the west, where a new story will unfold. The Sky Realm is home to numerous islands and their people. 4 races have come together to shape civilization. First are the humans, who may not seem like anything special, but they play the largest role in society. Hey, sounds like us. Urins are Englishly distinguishable by their large ears and attractive looks. Many of them are blessed with a talent for magic. Sounds like elves. Harvins are on the smaller side, but their wisdom and business acumen are nothing to sneeze at. Kind of sounds like dwarves. And drafts have large horns and powerful physiques, proud of their strength. Quite a few of them go into occupations that require physical labor, such as smithing or constructions, typical kind of big bestial type people. There also are the primal beasts, which are created by the Astrals. These great beasts were gifted with godlike powers. In the aftermath of the war, which ended roughly 500 years ago, the remaining beasts fell into a slumber throughout the skies, where their presence deeply influenced the development of local customs. Primal beasts only obey the Astrals, thus the rampage of an awakening primal is akin to a grand scale of calamity. However, some people possess a devout belief these divine beasts are part of nature and thus shouldn't be pacified. The artwork in the game is gorgeous. It's one of the things that kind of drew me into it. Walk through beautiful 2D artwork of side games and side declination now realized in full 3D. From lovingly crafted landscapes to detailed objects, enter a realm where experiencing a world bustling with character takes precedence over photorealism. You will feel the wind from the back of from the deck of an airship, visit quaint towns for the first time, and do battle across sprawling hillsides. There's plenty to discover on the journey. And, of course, there is the hallmark artwork of Granblue. Our beloved characters have been meticulously translated into 3D, complete with painterly lighting and shading techniques. Character models and their equipped weapons have been carefully crafted to be appreciated from any angle. Facial expressions have been given an equal amount of care, ensuring that the whole cast comes alive during the adventure. And then there's these characters that you will encounter, of course, the main character. And then there's the blue-haired young girl named Lyra, who is shrouded in mystery, but able to hold the power to control the primal beasts. And there's Vrim, who is the little red dragon that you see in some of the images. Your bestest pal. This little fellow has stuck with you through thick and thin. He's not about to let a little thing like a death-defying journey stop him now. Kalina is the skybound protector. She once swore an oath of knighthood to the Earth Kingdom, but those days are long behind her. There's Rackham, who is a skybound navigator, helmsman of the airship Grand Cipher. He can be as untamed as the open skies. There is Io, who is a skybound dreamer. Don't let her small size fool you. This young mage is eager to showcase her impressive talents. Eugene is the skybound soldier, a veteran skyfarer whose combat prowess is rivaled only by his regret. Rosetta is the skybound watcher, a bystander whose roots are firmly planted in both the past and the present. Roland is a proper gentleman who calls the westerly skies home. Lancelot is the twin-fanged prodigy, captain of the knightly order of the White Dragons. Despite his youth, he is more than capable of leading the forces of an entire kingdom. Vane is the knight of fellowship, a knight of valor. He pours his heart and soul into protecting his homelands, friends, and comrades in arms. Percival is the Lord of Flames, possessing the makings of a king. This young man strives to create a kingdom free of war with other like-minded individuals. Siegfried is the Dragon Slayer. Once reviled as a traitor, that then stopped this loyal knight from heroically saving his kingdom from crisis. Charlotta is a holy knight of valor and eminence, the captain of an order of holy knights, all of whom have sworn a sacred pledge. And finally, Eudora, who is the illusionary fencer. This man was once a world-renowned swordsman, but these days he spends most of his time fishing in seclusion. Yeah, so that's a lot of information that we didn't really have before, really fleshing out some of the characters that'll be on this journey with you. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. I really hope it makes this 2022 window. Love to know what you think about it. If you're also, if maybe you forgot about it. It has been a while since we had information about it. So, yeah, if anything else pops up, I don't anticipate anything. They said some more information was coming at some point, but news tidbits have been few and far between over the years. So I'm thinking the next time we hear about this game, it'll probably be when we get a more concrete release window for this game. Another game I've been looking forward to for a while. Of course, it's been out for a while on PC, but it's finally going to be making its way to consoles as Edge of Eternity. And it will launch for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One on February 10th, 2022, followed by the newly announced cloud version for Switch on February the 23rd. Publisher Dear Villagers and developer Midgar Studio announced. It's been out for PC via Steam since June 8th. So, took quite a while. And if you've been keeping up with this one, me and Dalton even talked about it a little bit, his impressions of it. But there's been some issues. And so this console version will benefit from all current and upcoming updates and fixes the PC version receives. Moreover, all console versions and PC will get a Japanese voiceover update on February 10th. That's a big sticking point for a lot of people. About the game, in a world torn asunder, the people of Herion pursue a desperate war against a mysterious invader. At this conflict, opposing magic and technology grows to cataclysmic proportions. A new threat emerges from the battlefield. Wage epic turn-based battles as you follow Dayron and Selene in their quest to find a cure to the all-consuming corrosion and save the world of Herion. Edge of Eternity is developed by a small indie team based in the south of France. The game was made possible by over 4,000 fans who supported the game via a successful Kickstarter campaign. And the crowdfunding was so successful that Megar Studio was able to work with the legendary JRPG composer of Chrono Trigger, Yoshinori Misata. Some big pedigree. Here are the key features of the game. A deep and strategic combat system. You can outwit your enemies in epic turn-based tactical combat. Use the environment to lure them into devious traps. Outsmart and outflank them to inflict massive damage. And craft your gear and insert it with powerful crystals to unlock unique combinations of skills and power-ups. Of course, there's a cast of charismatic characters. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Made a cast of larger-than-life companions, each with their own unique personalities and attributes. Discover their dreams, flaws, hopes, and torments as you experience and share many special moments together. There's a gorgeous world to discover. You'll journey through Herion's unique and ethereal environments and unearth this most ancient of secrets. And what quest would be complete without an epic soundtrack? And this is... I have heard some snippets of it, and it's in the trailer as well. It does sound like classic Masuda, as the sublime soundtrack from industry and composer of Chrono Trigger and Xenoblade Chronicles, Yasunori Masuda, is brought to life. There was a console release trailer that came out for this. It was available over on our YouTube channel if you are curious how this one's shaping up. It's one of those deals like you're going to look at this game and you're going to know right away it's not AAA. Maybe that's a good thing. It's a little rough around the edges, at least what we've seen on the PC version. That's why this console version kind of took so long to really iron out. I'm hoping by the time that February the 10th rolls around, that will all be polished out. Because, like I said, I have been looking forward to this thing. I don't love, like that. It has the grid-based, the 6 hexagons all, pushed together. That's not my favorite, but it has drawn me in with some of the other things that it's doing. And we will talk with Dalton before this game comes out and see if he can kind of give us a progress update on how that PC version has changed. He kind of played it when it first came out in June, I believe. He was very impressed even with its flaws. So I'd love to get kind of an update from him and see where this thing has come along and where it's going. And quickly, if you've not already and you like a more mature, at least in the language department, podcast, don't forget to check out the Steam Machine podcast from our buddy Dalton. I think he puts that thing out every week, so he's got some good content over there. Also, this was really the only thing that I saw get announced. Nintendo put on like an indie developer. I wouldn't say it was a direct, but it was definitely sponsored by Nintendo. And the big thing, as far as I was concerned, is the JRPG inspired Sea of Stars got a new trailer, and it was announced that it's coming to the Switch. Now, this is a bit of news, as it's been confirmed that it's coming to PC. And then it was announced that it's coming to consoles, but they've not named the consoles yet. So this is the first named console. Obviously, it was Nintendo's deal, so they kind of said, hey, sounds like a good idea. Sabotage Studio said that the remaining platforms and storefronts will be announced sometime in the spring of 2022. It was also announced that as for the game's holiday 2022 release window, Sabotage Studio said, quote, to clear all the potential confusion that could arise from different interpretations of the winter 2022 and holiday 2022 messaging, the target is to launch Sea of Stars roughly a year from now. i.e. the middle of December. The exact date will be announced sometime next year once we have a clear view of when the game will be as good as we want to make it. As always, the only thing we will not compromise on is quality. Again, that new trailer was out. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. Obviously, if you're watching this video version of the podcast, you've been watching the trailer the whole time. Definitely has old school vibes to it. I think it's beautiful. It's turn-based, so it's going to get my attention pretty much no matter what. This is a small studio developing it, and I think they're doing some really neat stuff. This is kind of a spiritual prequel to The Messenger. I've not played that one, but yeah, I'll be very down to play this game. It kind of, it's interesting that this was confirmed for the Switch. Obviously, I think this is at least coming out for PS4 as well. Probably Xbox One, maybe next generation. Let's be fair. It's a retro RPG. It doesn't need a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series power to play it. But man, this really feels like a perfect Switch title. And I really can't wait to see once this thing nails down. And hopefully we'll be playing it by Christmas of next year. The Pokemon Company and Game Freak have released a new trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus, including the game's Diamond Clan, Pearl Clan, the Ginkgo Kill Merchants, and a new Pokemon called Darkrai. There you go. This is talking about the Diamond and Pearl Clan, which obviously and then inspired the games later on. In addition to being home to the Galaxy Expedition team, two other groups reside in the Heisei region, the Diamond and Pearl clans. The people of the Diamond Clan often speak of the importance of cherishing the present and living in the moment with one's allies. On the other hand, members of the Pearl Clan frequently advocate the importance of valuing the vast, spacious land shared with others. You'll meet the leaders of both these clans. First is Adaman. He's the leader of the Diamond Clan. And then there's Arada is the leader of the Pearl Clan. So yeah, if you there's that new trailer, you can check it out over on our YouTube channel and get a peek at the game, which is coming out not too much longer. Due out for the Switch on January the 28th, 2022, worldwide. Got some updates for Scarlet Nexus. It released the free version 1.05 update and the paid DLC, Bond Enhancement Pack 2. Here's a brief overview of it. First, in the paid DLC, there are new costumes and weapon skins for all playable characters in collaboration with famed artist Daisuke Richard. 10 new Bond episodes to further expand upon character relationships, and new power-specific aspects when using SAS to connect with an ally who has learned Nexus Drive. Now, the free part of it is the Battle Simulator. Rematch against boss fights from the main story, as well as the challenge missions. Over 20 new challenges for players to test their skills, and a new lineup of exchange items in the shop that includes plugins, weapons, and more. Of course, Scarlet Nexus is available for all of the systems besides Switch. Sorry. There is a new DLC Pack 2 and update trailer that you can check out over on our YouTube channel if you're wondering exactly how these new things look. What was the other update? There's a new Tales of Arise December update. The main one is if you're playing this game on PS4 or Xbox One, and halfway through your long journey, you get a brand new shiny PS5 or Xbox Series, you are now able to upload your save data from your old system and now play it on your PS5 or Xbox Series. I don't believe that was previously possible, but as part of this December update, and which is out right now, so as you're listening to this, you can you can do that. There was one other, I don't want to say mistake, but they certainly made what they're calling the quality of life improvement by removing the Tales of Arise DLC reminders. Those things were annoying as all get out, very pushy. Didn't like it. So that's a good thing that they decided to kind of just, that's just, let's not push that too much. In other news, the Switch version of Death End Request 2 will launch both physically and digitally on February the 8th, 2022 in North America, and February 11th in Europe. Publisher Idea Factory International announced all DLC previously released for the PS4 and PC versions will be included with the Switch version from the start, as well as the original Japanese glitch outfits. Additionally, discounted Nintendo eShop pre-orders will begin on January 25th. For North America, it will be 20% off, and Europe, 10% off, followed by a week-long launch discount. That's pretty cool. I guess that's kind of the gift that they're giving for making you wait so long. The game came out for PS4 and PC in August of 2020. It's been out for Switch in Japan since August of 2021. So yeah, that's one of those things. Like, it's kind of like the least they can do is throw all that in there for making Switch people wait quite a bit. Also announced for Switch is Crystar will be coming on March the 29th in North America. That's at 2022, of course, and April 1st in Europe. Publisher NIS America announced that's going to be over a year. No, I'm sorry. I read that completely wrong. So in Japan, they're getting it about a month before that. It's already available worldwide for PS4 and PC via Steam. So if you've been waiting on that Switch version, hopefully, I guess you do have to wait just a few more months. But yeah, there you go. Also in Switch, all kinds of Switch news this week. It's kind of a thing. So if you were wanting to pick up Neptunia X Shinron Kuga Ninja Wars for the Switch instead of other systems, I don't know if it's coming to the West or not for the Switch, but it is definitely coming to Japan on March the 17th. It'll also have the following additional comment: an extremely hard mode with stronger enemies, a Mushi mode. Yep, your guess is as good as mine on what that means. 8 costumes previously released as DLC, and additional sub-events. So that's pretty cool. There was a trailer that came out for it, kind of showing what it's going to look like on the Switch. Like I said, no word if that's coming or not. But here it is. Mushi is a mode that you can deal massive damage to any enemy. So I was reading a bit more into that than that actually was there. But yeah, if we get word this is coming to the West as well for Switch, I will I'll pass that along to you. One other thing that you can check out on our YouTube channel is a new trailer from Atelier Sophie 2, The Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream. This comes from our friends at Koei Tecmo and developer Gust, and this trailer focuses on Diebold Luernes. Yeah, that's all I got. He is a former knight. I believe that's what they said about him. Interesting looking character for sure. Former knight, but he's still wearing that armor, and just a terrible name, Diebold. I don't know. That's JRPGs are pretty infamous for weird names. That's kind of up there at the top of them, isn't it? If you are a Saga series fan, well, we got news from Collection of Saga, Final Fantasy Legend, and Saga Frontier Remastered producer Hiroyuki Miura during the Saga series official broadcast live stream. And he says, and quote, "We're still in development on the latest title and hope to announce it sometime next year, so please look forward to it." The Saga General Series Director, Akatoshi Kawazu, also added, "Both Mirio and myself are working on the next package title, so please look forward to more of the Saga series next year." So a new game's coming, or another remaster, not exactly sure, but the next title in the series, in some sorts, is going to be announced in 2022. And that's probably, at these live stream events, they get questions and kind of probably like, "Hey, we're here to talk about these old games, but what can you tell us about the next one?" Right? And they're like, "Hey, we'll throw you a bone. We'll tell you its announcements coming next year." Sure. So, yeah, if you're a longtime Saga fan, maybe you got something to look forward to being announced sometime in 2022. Strategy RPG Reverie Knights Tactics will launch for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on January 25th, 2022. Publisher 1C Entertainment and developer 40 Giants Entertainment announced. It's currently available for PC via Steam. A demo is currently available on PC via Steam, featuring the first hour of the game if you want to check out exactly what it's about. But here is what it's about. It's a turn-based tactical RPG with strategic battles and isometric grids where every decision you make can alter the story and way you configure characters. Lead your party of heroes, each with a distinct special ability and skills, allowing you to use multiple battle strategies to defeat your enemies. Discover a fantasy world featuring a deep map and scenario exploration and an epic adventure visual novel style. There's beautiful hand-drawn art, decision-driven storyline, character customization, item crafting, exploration. You get up to 4 different characters to control, battle phases, interactive battle scenarios, and multiple battle grids. There was a new trailer that came out with it, with this release date information enclosed if you're a little curious about how this one is shaping up and looking. But yeah, you'll be able to play it very soon, just over a month, on January the 25th. Wizardry, the 5 Ordeals, got some information about that. It will launch into early access via PC on Steam on December 17th. So as of this recording, that's tomorrow. GameSpark Publishing and developer 59 Studio announced. This was originally planned back on June the 18th, but various reasons delayed it ahead of its scheduled launch. The company's also announced that they will not distribute the game's editor service at the time of early access as originally planned, but will continue to make every effort to release the editor by the end of next year. That's quite a delay. They, of course, apologize for any inconvenience this may cause to former users who are looking forward to the new editor, as well as new users who are considering starting their own adventure sooner rather than later. So, kind of a bummer, but hey, what are you going to do? But yeah, it's coming, and you can check that out on PC via Steam. More than likely, unless you listen to this thing as soon as it drops. So that's, as I'm sure some of you do, and thank you so much for doing that. More than likely, if you want to check this out, it is out for you to check out. This is a cool announcement. Discotech Media announced that not only it announced that Tales of Fantasia the animation will release on Blu-ray. It's coming out in April 2022. We'll have both the Japanese and English dubs, as well as English subtitles. Along with the 4 Tales of Fantasia animation episodes, the Blu-ray will have special features such as interviews. However, that's all they've said so far. It's going to be included. The anime originally aired in Japan between 2004 and 2006 and covers the events of the game. Tales of Fantasia is the first installment in the long-running Tales of series. Came out back in 1995 for the Super Famicom. Didn't make it over here on the Super Nintendo, but later was ported to the PSP and Game Boy Advance. Follows the story of Cress, who travels through time in order to defeat Thanos. It was also announced in other Blu-ray Tales of news that Bandai Namco has the final packaging for the theme song of Tales 25 Anniversary Movie Collection. And it will include the animation for Tales of Luminaria, the newest entry, as well as all the previous ones coming out. So that's pretty cool news, to say the least. In what's the opposite of pretty cool news, but not unexpected. We talked more than a little bit about how Endwalker was going to congest FF14, and I wouldn't say it's broken it, but man, it really has it's pushed it to its limits, and to the point where people really can't even play it outside of very early in the morning or super late at night when human beings probably shouldn't be awake. In response to that, they've had several things, but the newest compromise to try to get this thing back functioning is no more new. So it has temporarily halted all sales of Final Fantasy XIV. If you ordered a physical copy, it's not going to ship. As well as new digital ones. It's one of those deals like you can be frustrated and angry, but there's so many people playing it. It's so popular right now. They can't handle it all. And they got to do something because people are paying money. And I know they said that they were going to give 7 days of game time free. I think they've granted 14 additional days. So you're almost be getting a free month at this point. But yeah, if you've been getting that famous Error 2002 message that nobody wants to get, there's my cat's tail making an appearance on the video. That's always fun. Hopefully they get this thing sorted out, but it's one of those deals like until they get some new servers up to kind of handle all that thing, I don't know how it's going to work. It doesn't sound fantastic. That's for sure. Last week's big story about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to PC. Well, you should be able to. Is that today that it was? It's either today or tomorrow. Anyway, there was a very good article, and I just shared this on our social media channels, but on both Facebook and Twitter. Of course, you should be following us on there to keep up to date with all this information on a day-to-day basis. But I shared that today, and it was RPG sites. I want to say review, but their initial impressions of it, and they did a fantastic job, especially if you're playing this on, well, especially, but this is made for PC players. So I think they had a pretty, souped up PC to fully take advantage of it, but they also had like a minimum PC. So all those specs are out there. I'm not going to bore you guys with so much technical jargon. It might even bore myself, but check that article out, and that'll probably give you a good baseline of if your PC can handle it, and if it can't, what you kind of need to benchmark yourself for in order to really experience this game. Because the last thing you want to do is play a beautiful game like Remake and be kind of disappointed because your hardware can't play it. I know there was some times that, especially when I was playing on PS4, there was a couple of times where it got super dark and you could not tell what was going on at all. You don't want those experiences. I didn't notice anything like that in my second playthrough on PS5, and hopefully this PC, if you play it correctly, it's not going to do that. There's number 2. Thank you, Esme the cat. That is fantastic. But yeah, check that article out if you have any questions about how you should be playing FF7 Remake. Got a couple stories from Nihon Falcom to wrap up this podcast. Before we do, don't forget, starting in January, we're going to have some exclusive content coming to our, I don't want to call it premium subscribers, but definitely supporters of the podcast. So you can either do that through a subscription for just $2 through Anchor, or any level of support that starts at $2 as well. Over on our Patreon channel, you're going to be getting one exclusive podcast per week. We're going to have some interviews with listeners, fun chats about it, bonus stories that don't make it into the podcast. We're going to kind of throw those on there. It's more of evergreen type things that aren't specifically news related, right? But just some extra content over episodes on there. We'll have soundtracks as well, and just various discussions. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, kind of what we started with our Sunday specials. We're going to keep those rolling right along, but you'll need to be a subscriber to get a hold of that stuff. So as little as $2 a month, you're obviously going to be supporting the podcast when you do that, enabling me to continue doing what I love to do, and I hope what you love listening to. But yeah, I'm not getting ranty just yet. Let's go with Falcom release the Legend of Naruto Boundless Trails for the Switch in spring of 2022. Developer announced the Switch version, which is titled Naruto no Koseki Ad Astria in Japan, will feature enhanced graphics, 60 frames per second support, and higher sound quality, as you would certainly hope, over the original PSP title. Despite bearing this new subtitle, they did not release any additional features in the Switch version, which were not already present in the June 2021 released PS4 version. In the West, Legend of Naruto Boundless Trails is due out for PS4, Switch, and PC via Steam and Epic's Game Store in 2023. Remember, this one's kind of the offshoot. We're going to keep some elements of it, but that's an action RPG. It honestly looks a lot more like the early Ys titles than it does anything to do with Legend of Heroes. But yeah, already out in Japan for PS4. It's coming to Switch next year in the spring, and in the West sometime in 2023. So here we go. Here's where things get interesting, and this broke overnight. If you recall, I'm not sure how long ago it was, but Falcom said, hey, we're going to have the next Legend of Heroes game. It's coming out in 2022. And it is indeed Legend of Heroes Chrono Koseki 2 Crimson Sin. Will be coming for PS5 and PS4 in fall of 2022 in Japan. There's not much I can tell you about this. This is building off the 40th anniversary editions, of the company. So they want to do this and keep it going right along. It follows the first chapter of Chrono Koseki. As I'm reading this and deciding what to read and not read in it, I'll be honest, I really don't want to tell you much. I don't even want to read it, right? Because we're so far behind. There was 4 little images that came out for it. One was the logo, so there's not a ton out there. Of course, Chrono Koseki came out this past fall, and that leads into this interview. I guess it was maybe a questionnaire. And so one of the questions which was posed to, where this was, here it was. A Twitter user named @Mitsuju shared a question from Nihon Falcom's annual shareholder meeting. So here was the translation of that question. And it was, the sales of Falcom games in the West have risen, yet there's currently a 3-year gap in between Tales of the Reveries' projected Western release date and the original Japanese launch. Nowadays, many companies have transitioned to a worldwide simultaneous release. I understand if day and date releases are impossible for Falcom, but a 3-year gap is just way too much. Is there any possibility that this release cycle could be sped up? Great question. And Tika, that's one of those deals like everybody wants to ask the question, but it still takes a good amount of courage to ask, right, and actually do it. So here's their answer. There are a number of internal circumstances with the partner publisher, NIS America, that are outside of our control, and we would like to also prefer but we would also prefer if the release pacing could improve. You had to consider that Trails is a very text-heavy series, and such translation takes time. That being said, the gap between the domestic and Western releases is absolutely a problem, and we would like to work with NIS America to improve the situation going forward, if possible. That's all you're going to get right now, but obviously we knew that Falcom couldn't be happy with this, right? 3 years? That's a long time. But what it sounds like to me is they have, and this goes along with this new announcement, right? NIS America has a contract. And then it sounds like it goes through Crystar Nexus. Now, part 2 maybe is not included in that. So what I would recommend if I was telling Falcom what to do is like, hey, if that's not in the contract, start it now. Start translating this right now as you're developing it for your Japanese market. Go ahead and start the translation process. And if that means let's just say we get it in 2023, right? Chronoseki. Then you are ready to put this thing out in a timely fashion. So if they're a year apart in Japan, maybe you can just make it a year apart in the West. We would be okay with that. I really and truly think that at least I would be okay with a year's wait in between titles. 3 years, and we're going to be at the point when Chronoseki 2 comes out, we're going to be 3 games behind now. And that's infuriating for fans. And it makes it really hard to keep up with these things because you don't want to spoil anything. I know, speaking personally, my job is very difficult. Like, I just struggled there to release anything more than the idea that it's coming and here's the title of it, right? That's rough. And it really reminds me a lot of, I don't think I've spoken to this as much, but as a kid growing up, I fell deeply in love with Dragon Warrior 4 and put so much time into it. And even then, I knew it was weird because we didn't get Dragon Warrior 2 and 3 over here. And then we missed an entire generation of games. We didn't get 5 or 6 for the Super Nintendo. It wasn't until 7 and PlayStation 1. And that's a long time. And while we know these games are coming, it has a similar feel to it. Same thing with Final Fantasy. Like, growing up, I didn't know Final Fantasy 2 and 3 were not 2 and 3. You found out afterwards. And it took forever for them to release the old games. So I remember that frustration, and it feels very similar to it in some key ways. And Falcom has to fix this. It doesn't sound like it's all on NIS America, that maybe Falcom's being very kind and not completely throwing them under the bus, because Falcom can't do it. They're not big enough to do the translation work and the worldwide publishing on their own. They have to have help. And NIS America helps outside of Asia, and Clouded Leopard does it in the Asian regions. And outside of doubling the size of their company, it doesn't sound like it's going to happen anytime soon. So I have a bad feeling we're going to be frustrated for many more years before this even gets to a reasonable effort of, Kuro 2 is coming out and, we get it in the West by the time Kuro 3 is out. That's probably best case scenario at this point. To get to the one behind point, if not 3. But I really tried to hold back on my rant today. I have been reminded of Frank Costanza's Serenity Now, and just keep Serenity Now, Serenity Now. But then, as Lloyd points out later in that episode, the actual phrase is Serenity Now, insanity later. So let's hope we don't just go completely off the rails and drive ourselves crazy waiting for these games. We love these games. Maybe a bit too much, a bit too passionate about things. But that's going to do it for episode 196. Thank you so much for sticking around for the rants and ramblings at the end. I really appreciate each one of you tuning in each week. Get me fired up to do more content each and every week, including next week. We'll have kind of a pre-Christmas. It could be the shortest podcast of the year. I may come on here, tell you a few stories, and wish you Merry Christmas and send you on your way. But we'll see what we got coming out. As always, whatever you do, have yourself a merry little Christmas and get back out there and level up.